Hey, what is going on, guys? It is your boy Franzi back with another Genshin Impact video, and today I am going to be talking about the best builds, including artifacts, weapons, and talent priority for Albedo. Now, unfortunately, I did pull for Albedo on my alternate account, so this account is very weak, I guess. I'm working on leveling it up, but at the moment, I can't really do a showcase. It wouldn't do Albedo justice, as, I am not even AR40, so can't even get him to level 80. So at the moment, I will just be showing the best build and how to properly use Albedo. So to start, I'm going to be talking about his talents. The very first one, and just like everyone else's case, is a basic 5 combination swing, and then a charge attack, and then plunging attack. It's basically the same on every character. His elemental skill is where he gets interesting. He plants an AoE circle, and in the middle of that circle is a flower, like you can see. And if you stand on the flower, it raises you yay high. And then you can jump off, do a plunging attack, do whatever you want. I don't really understand the strategical purpose. There isn't anything too special about it. It is just kind of a little platform elevator that rises you into the sky. But if you do create this, elemental skill with enemies around, like so, it gets the initial damage, and when you attack an enemy inside, it forms a reaction. As you can see, I crystallize, but only works every 2 seconds. So you can't just spam attack and constantly get crystallization or crystallize reaction. You have to wait 2 seconds, as you can see. No attack, and then attack again. It works. And the great thing about this is it works on offhand characters too. So if you use Albedo's skill and then switch into your main DPS, well, here's that circle, there you go, and you get the reaction. His elemental burst, or his ultimate, is called Tectonic Tide. It forms a large circle in front of him and deals massive AoE geo damage in that circle. If the Solar Isotomo, which is his elemental skill, is up and you use the ult in that circle, the Solar Isotomo circle, then it forms 7 Fatal Blossoms, and these Fatal Blossoms deal 72% each at level 1. I believe when you get to level 6 or level 8, they are above 100%, around 100%. And then obviously the Elemental Burst looks very low, but this is again level 1. I believe the average when you get to like 6 or 8 is about 500 to 600%. So those are very big numbers, and his ultimate deals a ton of damage. And the best part about his ultimate is that his cooldown is only on 12% and his energy cost is only 40. So this is a ridiculous low energy cost, and this cooldown is relatively low. Basically the only thing that's holding you back from spamming this will be the cooldown, because you will be generating so many elemental particles that you'll have your ultimate up almost all the time. In terms of which of these you should level up first, Tectonic Tide easily takes the cake. It deals the most damage despite Solar Isotomo being on the field all the time. This is the thing that is going to be dealing all the damage and generating a ton of energy. So I believe that Tectonic Tide should be the thing you focus on first, followed very, very, very closely behind by Solar Isotoma. This is the one, unfortunately, does scale with defense, but regardless of that, it does deal a significant amount of damage, and you can form those crystallized reactions all the time, and then you can pick up those shields and energy particles. And then of course, this is a unit that you will be using mostly off the field. You will generally, how you use Albedo is you will rotate him in, use his elemental skill, and then you use the elemental burst and then rotate him out. You're almost never going to be auto attacking with Albedo himself, so there's almost no point to leveling up his auto attacks. So this is absolutely the last thing you should focus on. But I am going to be talking about weapons now. Now, please ignore Traveler, he is irrelevant. I just don't have Albedo on the main account where I have all my weapons. So typically for a weapon for Albedo, you want a weapon that has a substat of energy recharge, simply because you only want to use Albedo for his ultimate. So having, something like physical damage bonus is just not going to help him in the slightest. So you want something with energy recharge so that you can just swap him in, spam your ult, swap him out. And then the second his ult is up again, you can swap in and, rinse and repeat. So you always want to have his ultimate up, and energy recharge is the thing that will help the most for that. So if you are free to play, the Festering Desire is above and beyond the best sword you could ever have for him. This is at Refinement Rank 5, which is, completely free to play. You can farm it in the Chalk Prince and the Dragon event that's going on right now. You get an increase on your elemental skill damage by 32%. So, when you use your E, or when you use your elemental skill, his Solar Isotoma, it just deals 32% more damage, and you have a 12% increased crit rate on that elemental skill as well. But the big thing is the energy recharge, and at level 60 it is only at 33.8%, but I'm sure once you get to level 90 you'll be seeing somewhere around the 50% range. It's a great sword and it's completely free to play. I highly recommend you farming this, and if you have Albedo, throw it on him. There's no reason not to. Now there are 3 other really good swords you could use. One being the 5-star Skyward Blade. It is also energy recharge. The only thing about that is a 5-star first of all, so you have to pull on the weapon banner, and you have to get lucky enough to get that weapon. The only problem I have with the Skyward Blade is that the unique passive, I suppose, that comes with it isn't all that suited for Albedo, but I do believe the base attack and the energy recharge will probably be higher just because it is a 5-star. So there's that to keep in mind. Now the other 2 swords that work really well, I believe these are both gacha 4-stars. If you have the sacrificial sword, this is also very, very good. It has an energy recharge, as you can see. That's pretty much a big theme for Albedo. The important thing about energy recharge on your weapon is that it saves you from using energy recharge in your artifacts, which is huge in my opinion. You don't have to prioritize a whole artifact around energy charge if you have it on your weapon. So I think it provides a lot of flexibility in your artifacts if you have it on your weapon. So anyways, back to the sacrificial sword. It is very nice because it has energy recharge and obviously base attack. It's pretty much every sword. But after you deal damage on an opponent with an elemental skill, it scales a 50% chance to end its own cooldown. Basically resets the cooldown of your E, but is already really short. So that's why the sacrificial sword, I said after this one, the Festering Desire. The Festering Desire is, in my opinion, just so good for Albedo. And then the other sword is the Favonius one. Again, energy recharge is massively important on Albedo. And then the passive is crit hits have a 60% chance to generate elemental particles, and you generate 6 when you do, and it can only occur once every 12 seconds. So this is really good because you just simply get your ults up more often. It is basically fits with the whole energy recharge thing that I have going for his weapon. So if I had to rank them, obviously the free-to-play one is just fantastic. Favonius sword would probably be the second one. And if you have the 5-star, go ahead and use it because you'll get a better base on the attack and the energy recharge. And then sacrificial sword would probably be the third. Now moving on to artifacts. I believe the best possible sets that you could have are 2-piece from Noble Oblige to get your elemental burst damage by up 20%, and then the 2-piece from the Archaic Petra set, which increases your geo damage by 15%. Now you could run a 4-piece Noble Oblige, which is more of a support build and helps your other party members because it increases all party members damage by 20%. But I do think he is worthy of the 15% from the Archaic Petra. And if you want the 15%, which I think is very helpful, I think the best set to run along with it would be just the 2-piece from the Noble Oblige to help your own damage. So I think this is without a doubt the best possible set you could have, with the only other alternative being the 4-piece from the Noble Oblige. Now for the substats on the artifacts themselves, obviously with the flower you only have HP, that is your only choice. For the 4 substats on the flower though, crit rate and crit damage are always going to be top priority. There's no question there. A third one, which would be really good, is energy recharge. Obviously you have it on your weapon, but the more the merrier. It will greatly benefit Albedo even if you have more. And then obviously for the 4th one, you can go from anywhere from attack to even defense works on him. It's not terrible, but at the same time I would not prioritize defense. For the feather is basically just attack on the main stat. That's your only option. And again, these substats are the same thing. You want something with crit damage, crit rate, energy recharge. And the 4th one can be anything from attack to defense. For the sands, you want something with attack percent. Now I know you could run something with energy recharge, but because we have so much energy recharge from the sword itself, I don't believe you need to prioritize an entire stat dedicated to it. So I think an attack percent would be good enough. Now something I do want to throw in, because I think people will ask, everyone always talks about how Albedo's skills and stuff are based off his defense, so why not throw some defense percent artifacts on him? And while yes, that sort of does make sense, it is important to note that obviously his attacks, his normal auto attacks, aren't based off defense. His Solar Isotoma, which is his elemental skill, is based off defense, so you have a point there. But his elemental burst, his ultimate, does not scale off defense. So if you dedicate an entire artifact to defense percent only, you're not helping your ultimate at all. So I don't think using defense percent is really beneficial to Albedo, simply because his ultimate is where he's dealing most of his damage. His Solar Isotoma definitely helps and definitely does deal damage, but really the main thing and the main damage you're going to get from Albedo is the ultimate. So using a whole stat from an artifact on defense percent is not worth. It is okay to have them in these smaller substats below, but I believe that you shouldn't have it as an entire main stat. So for the goblet, this is always the hardest one to get because you need a specific stat on the top, which is the geo damage bonus. This is always so hard to get because there's so many others. There's every other element bonus damage, there's HP attack, there's so many other options. So that's why when you make a artifact set and you need 2 pieces for Noblesse Oblige, 2 pieces for the Archaic Petra, it's okay to have a random 4th one. I could literally use this, and this could just be my 5th piece that isn't related to the other 2 sets, but because it has the substat that I want, I definitely could use this. So something with anything with geo damage bonus percent is what you want to use. Even if it isn't the Noblesse Oblige or the Archaic Petra, you want to use it simply for the stat on the top. Now obviously it's going to be very hard to get the substats you want, but you can always work on that later. Just make sure that you have the geo damage bonus percent, because that is critical. And then for the circlet, you want crit rate or crit damage. In my opinion, I think crit rate is better to have as the main stat, and then you can focus on getting crit damage as the substat. And then obviously for the other ones around it, you want attack, energy recharge. Defense wouldn't necessarily be awful on Albedo. So that is going to be it for this one, guys. Unfortunately, I do not have a showcase or any clips of Albedo being insane. Unfortunately, this account is under leveled. If you really want to go check it out, you can do the test run. I know they have kind of some garbage artifacts and garbage build, but even with all that stuff, he deals like from 1500 to 2000 with his reactions. So he is insane. He can be even better than the test run shows. I very much underrated Albedo when I first read about him, simply because the defense on his skill threw me off. But he is very, very useful, and I think he fits in a lot of teams as a very good sub DPS. That is going to be it though, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll definitely catch you guys in the next one. Peace.